Hi guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode. In this episode we're going to take a deeper dive into hydrangeas. Now hydrangeas to me signify that summer is here, and who can go past a flower that looks as amazing as this here? So there are a few different types of hydrangeas. We're going to talk about those today, and just to put them into some basic categories. So we've got these ones here are the lacecap variety, and lacecap means that they were given that name simply because it resembled the lace caps that women used to wear in the sort of 1800s. I'll show you a picture of that. And then the other popular varieties are the ball-shaped hydrangeas, and they're called the mopheads, simply because they refer to the old-fashioned mops, but they're really kind of just a ball shape. And they're the most popular types of flowering types of hydrangeas. The other type is the cone-shaped, and they're a panicle-shaped hydrangea. So there are over 75 species of hydrangea out there, and there's literally hundreds of cultivars, which we'll look at. Some of the most popular ones that I would recommend that you, if you want to grow them in your garden. The interesting fun fact about hydrangeas is that they have also got a thing called a hydrangeas, I think that's how you pronounce it, that's in all parts of the plant, and if it's eaten by animals then it changes into a hydrogen cyanide, kind of a bit of a stomach upset. So therefore it's quite good. These sort of plants don't tend to get eaten by things like rabbits and deer and possums, which is a good thing, but they still do get a few little insects and pests and diseases. But generally grown, if you grow them in the right place, then they will grow really well and you'll have no problems, and they will grow in a variety of sort of hot and dry places and sun and shade, but generally they prefer this sort of dappled light here, this sort of bit of a shadier spot. What happens if they grow in full sun is they tend to get a little bit burnt on the leaves, and their flowers tend to get a little bit burnt. So they do generally prefer a sort of slightly dappled shade. So, and some hydrangeas are better adapted to the full sun. There are various, like I said, various types that we'll have a look at, and we'll take that deeper dive next. So we're going to start off with Hydrangea arborescens, and it's sometimes called the smooth hydrangea because the leaves tend to have a sort of smooth texture to them. So it's only white, it just sort of grows in this sort of white ball shape of the mop head. And you've got Annabelle and Incredible, which are two particularly good varieties. This one here is called Annabelle, and you can see it grows into this into this nice sort of compact bush with lots and lots of flower heads on, and quite a nice heart sort of shaped leaf. Prefer the sort of shade. We're moving on now to Hydrangea aspera. This is the roughleaf hydrangea, and this was in the UK. It was formed in the UK. It does prefer colder climates, and it can get quite tall. So you can find it up to sort of about 3.5 meters in height. And again, it's a lacecap variety, but it really has a nice sort of pink. This particular one here has got nice pink flowers. One of the most popular hydrangeas that you'll find for sale in the local plant shop is the Hydrangea macrophyllas, and they come in the mop heads and the lace caps. So this particular one is a mop head, and you can see they go in different colours. Now the colours on the macrophyllas can be changed by the acidity in the soil. The lower the pH, it means that there's more aluminium available, and the aluminium is the thing that changes the pigment in the flower. So if you want to get a more of a blue variety, or get a plant to go more blue, then you lower the pH and make it more acidity, usually with ammonium sulfate. It's a beautiful looking lace cap, that one there. This is another white one, that's Juliana. Now generally speaking, a lot of the modern cultivars have been adapted to growing either red or white, so they're a bit more resistant to that pH change in the soil. However, saying that, if you really do change the acidity to increase the aluminium and change the colour of the flower, then you probably still can do that. But I've grown cuttings that are from red ones, and even when I put them in the soil, they stay red. and that's quite good. Generally speaking, if you go out into the countryside, you'll find that generally, because most soil's acidic, unless you live on a limestone cliff, then you're going to get blue hydrangeas. This is a one called Bridal Bouquet. It's one of my favourites. It's a nice, very nice white mophead hydrangea, and you can see with these white ones, they sort of tend to have a sort of start off with lime and then go through. That's a nice red one, Raspberry Crush, if you like that sort of red tinge, and I do, I quite like it. And this one here's one called Revolution, which I thought looked particularly nice, so with slight pinky sort of tinges to it. Okay, so we're moving on now to the Hydrangea paniculata, or the panicle hydrangeas. These are the ones with the cone-shaped flowers, and very nice. They can get quite tall, and you generally sort of want with these ones to sort of prune them back hard and to encourage new growth, because that's what they flower on. These particular flowers were down at Botanic Gardens, and they were growing in a bit of a shady position, so they weren't doing as well as I thought they could. You can see they're quite stalky there, and that's the sort of cone-shaped flower. And particularly nice sort of plants, especially for that sort of larger, bigger blooms. If you're looking for that sort of larger, different sort of shape, then the paniculatas are the way to go. Some of my favourites, paniculatas, are the vanilla fraise, and this one in particular is nice if you like the white, and it's called Limelight. This one had a bit more sun, and it was just doing a little bit better. All these hydrangeas do like the soil quite moist, but then free draining. Again, you can sort of see the leaf very different from the macrophylla hydrangeas. It's a smoother, smaller leaf. This one here is in the UK. When we were there, this one was in Treebar and in Cornwall. And this was the vanilla fraise I was talking about. So it starts off a little bit more like white, and as it matures, it kind of goes into these sort of darker pink tones. This one here was filmed at, I think that's Chartwell, and that's the climbing hydrangea. And this is a lacecap type of hydrangea, and it likes to grow up, and it has sort of small roots that will attach itself to walls. It can get very tall, but its width is a little bit limited, so to around maybe a couple of meters. You can see this is nicely sort of hugging onto the wall. And this one here is the Hydrangea quercifolia. It's the Oakleaf Hydrangea, and it's from the southern eastern parts of the USA. And if you have a closer look at the leaf, you can see why it's called the Oakleaf Hydrangea, because the leaf on these looks very, very similar to an oak. And these flowers, like the paniculata, are cone-shaped. Sometimes this particular one here that we're looking at here is a smaller flower, but some of them do get quite large. You tend not to prune these ones. They tend to sort of stay, pruning just generally for sort of shape, but nice white to sort of, again, changing to sort of slightly pink tones. And the leaves in autumn also look very nice when they change to those reds and oranges. This is the Mountain Hydrangea, Hydrangea serrata. These are, if you're looking for a smaller hydrangea, these are perfect, because they generally only get up to around about a metre or 3 to 4 feet, and tend to have smaller leaves and smaller form all around. And they are mountain hydrangeas, so they tend to sort of prefer colder regions, and they can grow in full shade or full sun. Partial shade's probably the best there. And we've got some nice varieties like this one here. This one's called Grayswood, which is one I really thought was a standout when I was looking at these serratas. And that's got a nice little sort of, almost a sort of splash of reds and pinks and whites in there, and sort of changing form. So yes, good if you want a sort of smaller hydrangea. Again, with these hydrangeas, you need to give them a bit of space so they don't get overcrowded. So around about 1.2 meters, 3 to 4 feet between them at least, to allow them to grow. Now, this is just one extra that I've thrown in here. It's a rare species. You probably won't be able to find this in the local nursery. This is Hydrangeas scandens. It's a Japanese climber. Okay, guys, that pretty much concludes our little deep dive into hydrangeas. I just wanted to quickly show you, these are the hydrangeas I took around about in the winter time, so they've had around about sort of 5 or 6 months, and you can see that they're still growing. These were hardwood cuttings, but you can take just normal tip cuttings of hydrangeas through the summer. So I'll just dig these out just so we can have a quick look at them to see how well they've rooted. These were the blue ones over there, so we're going to dig them out. They feel like they've rooted quite well, so I could have left them in here a little bit long. And these guys are ready to be potted on. You can see all the roots have gone pretty well, pretty good. These ones were some red varieties that I had taken. That's those ones there. You can see the roots on those. And these were the blue ones, so you can see the massive roots. So if you're interested in doing these cuttings, these are hardwood cuttings, then I do have a video on that. That was some of the roses cuttings. The rose cuttings I did weren't too successful. I think I really needed some hormone powder to help them on. But like I say, hydrangeas, very easy. They root very, very quickly, and yeah. Okay guys, we're going to leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give us the like button, and please subscribe. And hey, we've reached over 1,000 subscribers now, so thanks to all my subscribers out there. It's really good to know that, and Happy New Year and a prosperous New Year for everybody. Okay guys, we'll see you soon.